Was good, my fellow working class, humble, lowly peasants. How you all doing? So I was going to do an E3 recap video this week, that was the plan. Cover everything we saw in the world of Final Fantasy at E3 2016. From the good, the not so good, but I've decided, I've pretty much covered the lot in my last 10, 12 or so videos. They're there if you want to see them, see what went down at E3, go have a look. No point in going over old shit, and my anticipation to do this video, to be quite honest, got the better of me. I want to do this video, the one I promised, something that's got me so excited that I just can't hide it. I'm about to lose control, and I think I like it. So sod recapping, we're all on the level, we know what went down at E3, something new, onwards and upwards, let's go. So despite some shaky tech issues and some shaky active time reports, E3 did in fact show us some pretty exciting stuff. In Final Fantasy XV, some baller trailers, and a lot of sneaky little hints about Final Fantasy XV's story. The most dramatic of which, in my opinion, came very sneakily in the newest Kingsglaive trailer. Now the funny thing about this detail, it's about to come up any minute now, is I actually missed it at first. The first time we saw this trailer, completely missed it, straight over my head, and like an utter twat I said, "Is that some sort of crocodile?" Now thankfully, a couple of you guys pointed out to me that it was not in fact a crocodile. Jesus Christ, however did I get crocodile from that? Fuck knows. I went back as advised, watched it, and I literally went into a state of excited hysteria when I saw what it was, because it was actually Diamond Weapon. Oh shit the bed, guys, it's Diamond Weapon. It's fucking Diamond Weapon. There is absolutely no mistaking. That is Diamond Weapon from FF7 if ever I did see him appearing in Final Fantasy XV. Kingsglaive, that is. Now, at first, I was tempted just to nod my head emphatically, fangirl a bit and chalk it up to being a meaningless throwback. They decided to create an adversary in 15 that looks like Diamond Weapon from 7, and that was it. That was about as far as the reference went. But in true fanboy fashion, my brain could not help but continue to wonder if there was more to it. Just could not stop thinking about it. My E3 brain was sort of stuck competing on that detail, World of Final Fantasy, and what Sydney's Heavenly Pillows of Love will look like in true VR glory. Oh man, just imagine it. Just imagine it! So the first place my brain wandered to when musing over the Diamond Weapon point, what that could mean, if it would mean anything else, the first place my head went to was what other colossi have we seen in the game, and wadonk, my head screamed Shadows in the Mist. Shadows in the Mist. My brain went straight back to 2015 in the Dawn trailer. Back in 2015 when Regis is holding a very young Noctis, and we saw 3 figures emerge from the mist over what we can assume is Insomnia. They were kind of hard to see back then, but we knew very early on that they were an integral part of the plot. They said that those figures were very important to the plot, and that was made even more clear at this E3 when it was revealed that they are so important, in fact, that the game case we are getting here in the West is going to be of these figures. And as a result of seeing that game case, we also got to see those figures in a bit more clarity. Now this got a conversation going between me and 2 guys, sorry if I fuck your name up, Rukia Wubbaduck and Fool's Guy, Rukia Wubbaduck, what a fucking name. Yep, I'm name dropping you guys, I'm name dropping you motherfuckers, we're all in this together. If this game comes out and this theory gets shot to shit, you're both coming down with me. We came up with a bit of a theory, or a theory came out of the conversation we had, and that is that these other figures in the mist could be other weapons from Final Fantasy VII. that was a theory that got thrown out. I've been looking into it, trying to see if I can see any comparisons, any similarities, because that is definitely Diamond Weapon from 7. So could these be other weapons from the game? That's the big question. And going out, having a look, you can imagine Square Enix aren't going to make it too obvious. Perhaps they're going to do a bit of redesigning, a bit of remodeling, so a bit of imagination is going to be needed here. But looking and starting with the one on the far left, what I get most from that one is Omega Weapon from Final Fantasy VII. One of the lesser known weapons, that one appeared in Dirge of Cerberus, not the original game. It has the flat top head, sort of a very flat top head, more of a mechanical kind of looking being. It's got arms, just like in the Mist. We can see that one has arms as well. There's an arm on the far left as well as coming from the middle. I think I can see arms on all 3 of those creatures. Aside from the one on the left, simply because of that flat top head, and although it's not too easy to tell, I'm getting Omega Weapon. Moving on to the one in the middle, or we'll be here all fucking day. I am getting, if we was to go across the entire franchise, Ultima Weapon from 10 or 10-2, because of the horns, the outer horns. It looks like that one has horns coming out the side, but I think that if Square Enix were doing the weapons, they would keep it Final Fantasy VII. They wouldn't go across other games in the franchise. Perhaps they would, in which case I think Ultima Weapon 10-2 would be the closest resemblance. If not, it could just be perhaps Diamond. Perhaps it could just be Diamond, who knows. Could it be Jade Weapon from Crisis, before Crisis, sorry. Again, one of the lesser known weapons. That one did have horns, sort of elongated horns coming down the side. The middle one is very hard to tell. And then moving on to the one on the far right, I'm getting one of 2 summons, weapons here. Either Ultima Weapon from Final Fantasy VII, it's got the arms, it's got the elongated horn, but it's only got 1, whereas Ultima Weapon has 3, so I kind of don't feel it's that. The one I'm actually feeling most, oddly enough, with the one on the far right, is Ruby Weapon. Now, I get that because that one on the far right looks like it has the longest arms. It has quite longish looking arms, the small head, the very narrow eyes. The only difference would be that spike. Honestly, if that spike that Ruby Weapon has under its chin was on top, that very long singular spiky horn, if that was on top of its head, I'd almost be certain that was Ruby Weapon, and I'd be fucking singing from the rooftops that the weapons are being in Final Fantasy 15. So I'm getting the feeling of weapons, and like I said, that's definitely Diamond. And what does that do for my theory on the game? Well, if the weapons are being used, and they're being used in the exact same context as 7, and it's not just sort of a mindless throwback, it means apocalypse. It means apocalypse because, as we know, the weapons in Final Fantasy VII, they're beings of the planet that only get summoned when the life of the planet is in direct danger. And this is what I meant in my last video when I said that there's a lot more going on in the plot than what it seems. And for a long time now, I've been getting the sense of apocalypse, that we could be having an apocalyptic type storyline, that it's not just about Noctis trying to reclaim his throne, sort of one empire against another, that there could be an aspect of saving the planet as a whole involved, because all we've really seen so far in any clear way is this Niflheim-Lucis rivalry. That's all we've really seen of Insomnia becoming occupied, of Noctis and the gang going on the run, Luna becoming imprisoned by basically her own country, as she is a Lady of Tenebrae, which is where Niflheim is based, and sort of the whole premise of Noctis reclaiming his throne. And I always thought that that was never quite the full story, that there was something a lot more going on than that. Most telling of all was back to that Dawn trailer scene again. Why is Regis crying and mourning the upcoming fate of his son? Surely that's not Niflheim related all the way back then. We only see the tensions begin to rise in the Kingsglaive era. Surely there was once peace between these two nations, and it's not been going on for 10, 15, 30 odd years. If Luna and Noctis were once betrothed to each other at a young age, surely there was an era of peace. And now we know also from E3 that there's a King's Tale game, and that's about Regis 30 years ago. He went on an adventure with Sydney's dad, Sid. What happened then? Why can Noctis hear summons in his head? Why are the nights getting longer and the world slowly becoming shrouded in darkness? Tabitha dropped that bit of detail, that the nights are slowly getting longer and the world is becoming enshrouded in darkness. So in the immortal words of Rukia Wubba, there's definitely some planet in danger shit going on. There is definitely an underlying current of something, hints of detail they are intentionally keeping a secret, leading to something bigger. E3 has dropped that all in there, something bigger than just the rivalry of two nations, something dark, something apocalyptic, and of course that then begs the question of who is behind it all. Who is behind it all? Because one of the biggest things that stuck with me was back when Tabitha said that the villain of this game is going to be the biggest and the baddest villain to date, or Final Fantasy villain to date. He said it's going to be bigger and better than Sephiroth and Kefka. Big words, Tabitha, very big fucking words, and surely to live up to that, nothing shy of an apocalyptic scale motive would suffice. Surely, could it be anything smaller? So looking at the villains we already know about, so far, looking on the Niflheim side, we have at the top Iadolus. He is the Emperor, the guy in charge. Although he is the Emperor, he is in semi-retirement, that's been made clear. So the fact that they're saying, or they've made it very clear he's in semi-retirement, kind of makes me think that he's not the one leading the Empire, sort of personally, and that's been made clear by who's just under him. That is Ardyn Izunia. He seems to be the guy pulling the strings around the events. He's that quick talking, silver tongued serpent type character. It's kind of like a Kefka Gestal kind of situation. Gestal was an old dude. He had motives, but it was really Kefka, the Chancellor position, the guy in second, the guy who will slip through and pull off something when you're not expecting it. So perhaps it's one of those, and I kind of feel like either one of those does have the apocalyptic motive. And the reason I say that is we have seen in the trailer that Luna Freya gets taken into custody, and Luna Freya, and this is what ties in with when Tabitha said the days are getting darker in the game, is Luna Freya is one of the youngest oracles in history. She has a power, an oracle's power, their abilities, they're passed down through family bloodline, and the oracles use their powers to halt what's called the Plague of the Star from advancing. And it's that Plague of the Star that lengthens the nights, and it's only the oracles who stop and prevent the world from plunging into complete darkness. So the fact that she gets arrested or gets taken into custody, and we know that in the game things get darker, as does the difficulty of the monsters. The darker it gets, the more difficult it's going to get. That's what Tabitha has said. One of those has arrested Luna for a reason, and whatever that reason is, they know she's an oracle, so they're doing it intentionally. So it could either be Iadolus or Ardyn. I'm feeling the most. Glauca, I'm not feeling him really. We saw him in Kingsglaive. He's the guy in the knight's armor with the sword. His job in the Niflheim army is he leads the Magitech infantry. So all the robot forces and Magitech forces are under him, although he is implied to be human. Obviously he's a powerful dude, he's able to go up against King Regis's power, but I'm not really feeling it. He seems more just like a military kind of follow the orders kind of man. And then just below that, going even lower, we have Vestale. He is a researcher who developed the technology used to create the Magitek infantry. He's a dark looking motherfucker. I'll give you that. He's looking dark as fuck, but no, I'm not feeling him either. And then finally we also have Ariana. I think it's Arania. So Arania, the dragoon. Could it be Arania Highwind? I kind of think not, as the impression I get of her. You know, I know this is grounded on really nothing, but I don't know why. I kind of get a hint of her fellow dragoon, Kane Highwind. That's obviously who she's based on. And if she is based on him in any kind of way, she's going to be that fighter who walks the lines of good and evil. You know, might not necessarily start on the wrong or right side, but that's the feeling I kind of get. Although, on another side point, I'm just going to have a quick diversion here. But does anyone remember back when everyone was confused about the whole Luna Stella situation, you know, which one of them was in the game? Then everyone thought that both Luna and Stella were both in the game. There were even theories of them being sisters, you know, those emerged. Well, now we know that Luna is our leading lady, Luna Freya, and Stella's out. But has anyone else noticed how shockingly similar Arania looks to Stella? And in turn Luna? I mean, all of them look pretty fucking close. I mean, honestly, look. You can see it, right? Look. Take Stella. No, as we saw her before, give her some big old titties. Or, no, bigger ones at least. Stick the FF6 Doom Train, the front of the Doom Train, on her head. And there you go. You have Arania Highwind. Could there be anything there? No, think Square just couldn't be fucked to design a new character model and just used Stella. Who knows? There could be something more. Could she actually have a sister? Who knows? But anyway, I'm just throwing that out there that they look fucking similar. But getting back on track. Those are all the real villains we have seen. Those are the main ones on the Niflheim side. We've not really had any other sort of villains for sure. Could it be one of them? Or could it be one of these four? We have Corleones and Gentiana on the far left. We know those two. Both of them, we believe them to be allies. Corleones has sworn loyalty to Regis. At times we see him help Noctis. So he's kind of a guy we're unsure of, but seems to be on Noctis' side. Then you've got Gentiana, who seems to be Luna Freya's right-hand lady. But again, we don't know much on her, so that begs the question, could there be a traitor in the pack? If there is, I'm getting a feeling it could be one of these two. And then as for these other two characters, we don't know. We don't know who they are. There have been rumours on the guy with the hooded mask. I do know his name, but I won't say it because it's quite spoilerish. Or at least there's theories on who he is. Or there's been leaks. I don't know. I don't know how reliable the information I have in my head on the name I've been given, so I won't put it out there because otherwise it'll probably come back and bite me on my fucking ripe juicy buttock. So I'm feeling it's not going to be any of those either. This is just what I'm feeling. I have a feeling personally that it's none of them. I think there's a good chance we haven't seen the villain yet. And the reason I feel that is that whatever is going on, it's very clear that Square are taking quite an active effort at keeping it a secret. You know, they've held that side of the story back from trailers, or tried to make it very discreet and unobvious. And I suspect that whoever this villain is, that Tabata has hedged his bets to become the greatest FF villain of all time. I have a suspicion we have not seen his face before. Their face before, or her face before, or its face before. Fuck knows. But all I can say is I hope you're right, Tabata, and I really do hope that Final Fantasy XV brings us the greatest villain of all time. Could it even be Prompto? You know, fat kids, they have a tendency to hold grudges. Who knows? Who knows? That's it, guys. Just wanted to share that. Wanted to share with you that without a doubt, even just based on that Luna Freya detail alone, expect an apocalyptic plotline. Hold on to your dongers, and pepper your Anguses. Be ready, because I think there could be weapons. I believe that those figures in the mist are weapons, and without a doubt, that is diamond weapon. That's it, guys. Want to share that with you. I'll share one other little cool theory with you before I go. This little theory is on how each city or country so far is giving off very strong hints of having its own iconic summon or guardian, or being represented by summon. And that theory first spawned back in 2014, Asleep in the Fantasy. He did a video on it, and it looks like this E3 has started to support everything he's been saying, and that is that, you know, every nation is represented by a summon. Now, I won't go over it. I'll link the video in the description if you want to go into the full detail, because man, this guy has a fucking eye for detail that I will never have. But he pointed out Niflheim, starting there, translates as mist and cold. Niflheim is also one of the plains in Norse mythology, a place of eternal ice, so it seemed to strongly represent Shiva. And if not Shiva, Bahamut, Idolus Aldercept. On his cape you see a dragon-like figure. Also on a Niflheim Lucis banner, a peace treaty banner, you see again a dragon-shaped form. And moving on from there, you have Solheim. Solheim, again, it's another translation thing. Sun, fire. It's in a scorched desert landscape. Ifrit, it's possible. Ortisia, in his video, he showed Leviathan in Ortisia, a very close looking Ortisia. I mean, this was back in Versus 13. He's there, a city of water, canals, boats, waterfalls, ocean. That could be seen to represent Leviathan. He even went into, you know, certain bits of architecture, had Leviathan, the sea serpent, on there. So that's holding up. Lestalum, the Cuban city based in the region of Duskai. I don't think that existed back then, or he didn't cover that point. But Lestalum is in the region of Duskai, a mountainous region, and E3 has shown us that that is where Titan resides. So there is definitely a connection there also. This strongly supports that theory, not only in the geography, but in that Titan has always represented rocky related shit. That is a technical term, and we learned back in 2015 that Lestalum runs and draws its power from the energy of a long fallen meteorite. So now the final two core regions left, Lucis and Tenebrae, Noctis and Luna's home kingdoms. Let's start with Tenebrae. This needs a bit more speculation. He did point out back then this hooded figure. He had a emblem of a wolf. We've seen it on other Tenebrae forces as well. This figurehead of a wolf. That also ties in with who I know that person to be, that hooded figure. He is connected to Luna Freya. That much I do know. I won't say anything beyond that. And obviously Luna Freya being from Tenebrae, it's safe to assume he's from Tenebrae also. And that wolf head got me thinking, in E3, what did we see? So we know that Tenebrae gets taken over by Niflheim. It's fair to say that the forces of Tenebrae will get dissolved into the Niflheim army. In any sort of attack against Lucis, we could well expect there to be Tenebrae forces. Now, in the Kingsglaive trailer, we saw Nyx fighting against, not Fenrir, who the guy Asleep in the Fantasy originally believed it to be, or speculated. We saw Nyx fighting Cerberus. So perhaps that wolf head could be Cerberus. Perhaps Nyx is going to try to get Luna Freya out and she's being guarded by Cerberus. Or perhaps Cerberus is being used to attack Lucis. But E3 has kind of made me strongly think that. And that leaves possibly the most speculative of them all, which was Lucis. He had a theory on it, and this kind of holds up as well from the E3 trailers, was that Lucis is a nation whose core colour is black. The colour black represents the royalty. They have a skull as their emblem, as their main sigil. And we also know, as Tabitha said, the nights are getting longer. The world is getting shrouded in darkness. And at the end of the Afrojack E3 trailer, the new one, we see them in their Kingsglaive outfits. They're wearing new Kingsglaive outfits. Shout out to Dean Weiss for pointing that out. Dean Weiss, he's a fellow Final Fantasy YouTuber. Much love. He's good. Go check him out. Some good shit. He's got this theory about Solheim and their Kingsglaive outfits. And Tabata said that that is happening right at the end of the game. Regis and the gang are going back to reclaim his throne. So it's fair to say if it's at the end of the game, that's when night is going to be blackest. So we've got black outfits, very black knights. We've got a skull emblem. I'm feeling Diablos. This is the one that hasn't really been covered, but Diablos would fit perfectly. If that is the final summon that Noctis will have to overcome, it will tie in thematically perfectly. So could Diablos be the final one on the list, the final summon? Who knows? It sounds plausible to me. Like I said, this guy did this video back in 2014. E3 just seems to be supporting everything he's saying. Sounds plausible, and not just plausible, but cool as fuck if that is what Square have laid up. What do you guys think? Do you think that those are indeed the weapons? The weapons from FF7 or the weapons from any Final Fantasy? Do you think Noctis and the gang will be saving not just their kingdom, but the world also? Do you think we have seen the main villain, FF15, yet? And do you think that Tabata's claim that the greatest FF villain of all time is about to appear to try to fuck us in our asses? Let me know, because if this video proves one thing, it's that chatting with you guys produces some hella awesome theories, and game theories are good, because game theories equals hype train, and hype train can be almost just as fun as the game itself. And regardless of what comes true story wise, Final Fantasy XV is at least going to give us a dope looking game, going to add some new pretty ladies to the franchises, and it's going to add a whole lot of fun. Fun bags. Until the next video, peasants, Kupo.